the force, as you all know, is something that George Lucas has made famous because it was an experience he had lying in a hospital bed. He had a severe accident, his life was despaired of, and he had this feeling of being connected to all life, which he named the force. And then there are all the books, there are all the movies and the books. I had promised myself I won't make any Star Wars references, but the AC reminded me of the ice planet Hot. Yes? That was my one and only Star Wars reference. But it's interesting that the force is actually a term that was defined in the late 1920s, early 1930s by Sri Aurobindo in his Integral Yoga. And it essentially means a manner of accessing the core of life. That is what I do, that is what I teach. I teach people to access the core life energy, increase it, become more intense, and it out. But like I said, that's not something that can be taught or that can be described. But yes, it is a manner of becoming more. It is a manner of becoming more intense. It is a manner of becoming more aware. And it is a manner of becoming more emotionally mature. You see, I was very pleased to be told to speak to entrepreneurs because in real terms, entrepreneurs are the only hope for India. We are running out of excuses. It's been almost 70 years since we have got independence and we are still trembling on the verge of significance, yes? From the time I've been a child, I've seen Star Wars when it first released. I'm 51, so I'm old enough. 1977. From the time I've been a child, I remember India the next superpower, question mark, yes? Every 5 years, sometimes for variation, India the next superpower, exclamation mark. And does it work out that way? When providing electricity and roads and healthcare and water are still accomplishments. And we cannot keep expecting that Mai Baap Sarkar will do everything for us. So people like you are needed, and there's something deeper because people like you live authentically. An entrepreneur lives much more authentically. You see, life is very fragile, life is very risky. There is absolutely no guarantee in life, and other than the yogi, nobody really takes that seriously. We all live as if we are sure what's going to happen tomorrow. We could step out onto the road and that's it. Everything is cancelled. The fact of the matter is we live in that very fragile space. How much time do we have? If you don't breathe for 3 minutes, end. All life is in that 3-minute window, and that 3-minute window of being able to breathe is what creates civilization, it's what creates culture, it's what creates gatherings like this. So that is why as yogis we always go to that most important thing in life, which is breathing, and we work with the breath. Because once the person gets his breath in order, once the person has a good relationship with his breath, then he can start fixing all the other aspects of his life. That is why we go to the breath. And it is not something esoteric and lunatic. I do not believe in any kind of mumbo jumbo. I am a very, very rational person, and I see things purely based on evidence. And the fact of the matter is, some kind of relationship with self is always the least priority for people, and it should become central. If what you are doing is valuable, if your life has value, then you better be okay with yourself. Too many people have certain amount of charisma, they have certain amount of talent, they have certain amount of glib talk, and then they end up creating a disaster in their environment. Whereas if you are a person who is aligned, your mind, your body, your emotion, your awareness and your internal energy is aligned, then you are a person who will, even if not a great person, at least you will not be a social nuisance. And if you are aligned in all those ways, there will be a time when you will be an impactful person also. That is what I teach. I was a corporate trainer for 20 years, but I got tired of that. Also because certain other things happened. And then I realized that I can transform people, I can get hold of people, and I can just keep raising their intensity. I can make them into more powerful people. The force is actually a translation of the word Shakti. You know, the word Shakti is what the force means, and that's exactly how Lucas used it, that's how Aurobindo used it, and I can teach how people bring up their Shakti. And the Shakti, if a person with Shakti is leading an organization, leading a group of people, that floods into the environment. that suffuses the environment. So everybody just has a personal responsibility, and I don't mean in spiritual terms, I just mean as living, as human beings, it is imperative that you become more and more filled with power, more and more filled with force, more and more filled with Shakti every day. Force Awaken, Shakti Jagran, that is exactly what Force Awaken means. Shakti Jagran 3 बार ज़िंदगी में होता है spontaneously. Once as a child, once as a young person, once in middle age. Most people never recognize it. That something has happened, the window of opportunity has opened up where we can transform ourselves completely. Most people never get that. That's because people like us who have either the blessing or the misfortune, I'm not decided as yet of having an English education. The first thing that the English education provides us is to dissociate us from our culture, is to dissociate us from what happens. Traditionally, people knew, all right, here is the time in life the person is about to shift. The person is about to move to another level, another dimension of functioning. Most of the time, people miss the opportunity. So what we can do, or what we should help people, is to recognize what is their swadharma, or what is their enteleki. Now this is not a religious concept, this is a concept, basic hardcore psychology. What is it that you were meant to do with yourself? Why did the universe go to the trouble of producing you? What is it that you can do which nobody else can do, and that is your swadharma, that is your purpose encoded within. The only other culture in the world which has an equivalent concept were the ancient Greeks. They used to call it enteleki, and it means the same thing. What is your true calling? What is your true purpose? Why are you alive? Most of the time we begin by looking at other people and imitating them. It may work, it may even give you a good life, but it won't be the kind of life, the optimal life that you need. And the point of what we do is that if you are doing your swadharma, if you are following your enteleki, if you are following your true calling, you will impact the world. Look at Lucas. 1977, the first movie released, and we are still talking about it, and we are swiping his logo without even giving him any credit. Yeah? That's the level of imprint that you can leave if you are following your intellect. And I think the most brave thing he did was that at the end he decided, I'm too old, I can't do this anymore, and he sold it to Disney. Here, take it forward and do what you want with it. I've done my part, I've shot my bolt. That is an extraordinary thing to do. Because he could have felt invested. It's my baby, it's my child, it's my money, and he could have just felt invested in that. No, I won't let anybody. And the ability to walk away from his greatest success and to trust other people that you can take it forward. Whatever the quality of the movie, it's made $2 billion, yes? The latest release, Force Awakens. That too is part of the enteleki, that too is part of the swadharma. The ability, the knowledge to know when to walk. I have done my part and this is enough. So, to recognize one's enteleki, there is a simple checklist in yoga. There is a simple checklist of 4 questions. And I offer you those 4 questions, there is no copyright on it. Please use as much as you want. Yeah? The first question is, what I am doing, does it energize me? The second question is, what I am doing, does it make an impact on me and those around me? The third one is, does it reward? And the fourth one is, does it transform? Does it energize? Does it impact? Does it reward? Does it transform? Now, energy is a very, very important part of this whole equation, because if you get up in the morning and your thought is, oh my God, I got to go there and I got to do that. Very often what you are doing is not your swadharma, is not your enteleki, is not your true calling, is not your purpose encoded within, it's just something that gives you a lot of money. Yeah? IIT, IIM, right? And then other human beings. First IIT, then IIM. If you find that you are running out of steam, if you find you are running out of gas, then whatever else it is not your swadharma. You never get tired when you are following your true calling. You will find inexhaustible amount of energy. no matter how many hours you put in. So you need to check. The thing that I am doing, does it energize me or does it drain me? Now I am not saying be absurd. Of course you will be tired. Some days you will really want to tear your hair out. I don't have that problem. But in general, if you are doing what you are meant to do, there is no way that you will become tired. There is no way that you will become despondent. There is no way that you will be depressed. You will always feel upbeat. The second thing is impact. How is this impacting the thing that I am doing? What is the reaction of those around me? And feedback is very important. I am basically a kalakar type of person. I don't like the metric method, but I am also a yogi, and in yoga everything is, does it work or not? And feedback, analyzing what happens, then calibrating how to move forward, it really works. What kind of impact is it making? Now, many people mistake a hobby. This is something that I like to do, therefore it is a good thing. No, not necessarily. Does it make an impact on people? How do you measure that impact? What is the quality of that impact? And who says it is impacting? Just you and your delusion or your wishes, or how do you know? From where are you getting this feedback that it is creating impact? And what kind of impact? Because impact could be negative also. You need reward. Not necessarily money, but that's a very major part of it. Yeah? India has a very, very constrained attitude towards money. For the last 300, 400 years, it was not so. This might surprise you, but historically, India was always one of the richest countries of the world. Most of our great spiritual attainments happened at a time when we were plush. Today, we have a very constrained attitude towards money, which is one of the things that need to be broken. The whole poverty consciousness and the whole sort of money is something that is a little itchy. It's not something that people of higher consciousness should talk about. But if what you are doing is not rewarding you, then no matter how much you think it is impactful, how much you think it is energizing, it is still not your true calling. It happens to be a hobby. It happens to be something that you are good at, because your true calling is what the universe designed for you, and it has to take care of you. The reward has to flow. Now this is usually the stumbling block, because people, they become very stubborn, and they keep throwing more money because we have already invested so much, or they keep throwing more time and more effort and more investment, because now how do we back away? And you need to learn to do that. You need to learn to look at it and say, alright, this is not going to work. This is not working, I need to accept that this is not working. At what point do you say so? That is entirely up to you. I do not believe in saying, okay, this is the cutoff point, because every human being is different. Every human being has an own internal clock and an own internal sense of ethics and an own internal sense of this is the appropriate moment. And you need to learn to trust that. Society does not teach us to trust that. Society teaches us to distrust it and to be suspicious of it. And the last thing is transformation. You've been doing this. You've been doing this work, you've been doing this activity for a while. How has it transformed you? In what way have you become a different, hopefully better person? Not necessarily always that immediately there will be approval. In fact, if you're doing something worthwhile and valuable, the first reaction is always opposition. And criticism, that is a national hobby, to criticize people for free. भाषण पे तो राशन नहीं होता है ना, that is what they say. So everybody has opinions about that. You have to push through all that. But is it transforming you? Is it something? Can you feel 5 years back the kind of person that I was? I am not. I am better. I am functioning from a better plane. I am functioning from a higher consciousness. Now these 4 questions are too bad here. There is a very, very simple Atma-Vichara process that all yogis do. You can do every day. At the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, and you need to ask yourself with complete honesty, the things that I did today, did they take me towards what I am aiming at or away from? Oh, it's very simple, and it's the most frightening question you will ever have to face in your life. Because if you answer truthfully and you check it out, you realize something, Good Lord, I'm an expert at wasting my time. I'm an expert at doing all sorts of things which do not tend to my final goal. What percentage do you come to? I think if you can answer honestly 80% of what I did every day, because you cannot keep your nose to the grindstone all the time. There are other things to be done. But if 80% of the things that you do every day takes you towards then you're getting somewhere. In 3 months, you will see the results. To get to 80% is difficult, by the way. You would think that I must be around 65, 70. Yeah. Just honestly take a look. Just honestly measure all the things you've done and you will realize. Like I said, it requires an extraordinary amount of honesty, but it's a phenomenally powerful practice. It's the core of Atma Vichara. You just self-examination, self-examination, self-examination. 3 months, you will see the difference. 6 months, the people around you will see the difference. 1 year, your family will say that you're very different. In 2 years, you won't recognize yourself. Which may not be very good, but okay. It's still worthwhile. Yeah? Since time is a constraint, I think that much is enough. Yeah? Any questions? One or two?
How do you scale it?
Huh?
How do you scale it?
How do you scale it? Your choice. There are hundreds of ways of doing it. Just go on the net, you will find at least 1 million hits. But you have to design something unique for yourself, on your values and your goals. The problem is all those other choices are given, they are other people's values and other people's goals. This is work that you have to do. You have to invest it, you have to find out, all right, this is what I am going to say, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, and there has to be a threshold of not acceptable. Once you get into that, all right, this much. But that again, nobody can do that for you. It is work that you have to do yourself. Thank you for asking the question. It was perfect. But you have to do that. And it is difficult. Because self-delusion is very pleasant. Self-delusion is actually quite a pleasant activity. Yes? Done?